could you describe your average day, and do you ever sleep at night? I know you get home at 7:30. Well, what goes on the average day for you at the White House?
Like I said, I get in usually around between 6:45 and 7, somewhere in that window, and I, take a quick flip through the newspapers and check and see what the news summary was from the night before on the network news, and do that for about a half an hour to 40 minutes, and then I go down and pop into the president, the president in the Oval Office. He gets his briefing from his National Security Advisor, Steve Hadley. Begins at around 7 a.m. And the president usually gets in around 6:45. He's an early riser. He gets up around 5:15 or so, and he has a short commute, so he's there early. And so I pop in around 7:20 and spend about 10 minutes with him, just kind of seeing what's on his mind today, what he's thinking about. I may highlight something. The notion that the president, doesn't read the papers. I don't know why that's been allowed to stand. He'll ask me about something that was in the Metro section of the Washington Post sometimes, and as well as the sports page, and he's read up on that too. And that gives me a good sense of kind of what his thinking is. It's a nice little back and forth with the Chief of Staff, the National Security Advisor, and myself. And then the three of us leave the Oval Office, leave the President by himself, and we go into the senior staff meeting. The senior staff meets at 7:30 every morning. All of the assistants to the President, so the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, the National Security Advisor, the Homeland Security Advisor, Head of Legislative Affairs, the Press Secretary, Dana Perino, the Communications Director, the policy people. And that's about a half-hour meeting. And then we all go off to our own meetings. So I then meet at 8 o'clock with all the speechwriters and not all the head of the speechwriter, the head of the press office, head of the communications, and kind of push out, what else we're going to do that day. And then at around, usually around between 8:20 and 8:40, we have what's called the daily brief. And that's my favorite time of the day. It's the President and the Vice President with the Chief of Staff, Josh Bolton, and the National Security Advisor, and the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, and myself. And we sit in the Oval and we kind of just go through the lay of the land for the day, and I'll ask the President things that Dana will need to know for her briefing that I know will be asked of him. I'll check in with Dana and see what she needs to hear, and she walks in and out of the Oval too. But at the daily brief, it's a good chance to tick off some things that are items that you want to get done that day, and get the President's take on things, so you have a good bearing. And then you roll into a number of other meetings. We've had obviously a lot of meetings over the past week with Treasury Secretary Paulson and Ben Bernanke, the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, and their folks, meeting with the leaders on the Hill. I do because I worked on Capitol Hill for so long. I worked up there for 13 years. I did the Contract with America with Newt Gingrich and Dick Armey, and I know a lot of the House Republicans, and a lot of the House Republicans I knew then are now Senate Republicans. And so while legislative affairs is not my job, I talk to a lot of members. They'll call me, I'll call them, and so I've been doing a lot of that lately. There are a lot of meetings where you talk about things like funding for Louisiana in the wake of Hurricane Gustav and the federal share of that, and the OMB folks are always on one side, and everybody else is on the other generally. And so it's a lot of meetings, and then we travel a lot. So when the President travels, I tend to travel with him. So went to Texas and Louisiana for the hurricanes most recently. Travel abroad, but in the White House, when you're there and the President's there, it's just a very hectic, frenetic pace, and it's a lot of meetings, a lot in the Oval Office. The Oval Office is a very working office. A lot of people coming in and out. A lot of the President signing off on things. When he's gone, when the President's on the road and you're not with him, it's like the building exhales. It's a lot. You get to finish up some things that need to get finished up. So it's like I say, it's a long day, and then I'll sometimes I'll do interviews for the media and that kind of thing. It's a lot of different national security briefings. I get to sit in with the President when he does what are called secure video teleconference calls, CIVITS calls with Maliki in Iraq, or Hamid Karzai in Afghanistan, or Prime Minister Brown. So it's a lot of different things, and you never know, one day to the next what your focus is going to be on.
Talking about travel.